What is good, guys, man? Thank you for tuning back into the channel, man. If you're new, make sure you hit that sub button down below to be notified for every single video that I drop, man. And as you can see by the title, she picked up an angel hitchhiker, and what he said amazed her, man. We ain't gonna do too much talking. Let's go and get into the video. If y'all heard a bunch of noise back there, that's my son, man. That's my son. So other than that, let's go on and get into it, man. And please watch the whole video. Definitely you can learn something from this.
Hello, my name is Linda Markowitz, and I'm here to share a supernatural story with you. This story goes back a ways. My youngest daughter, Michelle, had been in some trouble with the law, and she had been sent to juvenile detention in Albany, New York. I was living in Harrison, New York at the time, about a 2-hour drive away, and I was only allowed to visit Michelle on the weekends, only for a short period of time. And I started out from my regularly weekly visit, but I was very quickly overtaken by a huge snowstorm. It was blinding snowstorm. And I was just determined I was going to go anyway, so I just continued to go. I was moving, but there were cars on the side of the road that couldn't make it any further, but I determined if I could move, I was moving. And I was going, almost the only car on the turnpike, and I saw this figure ahead of me. And when I got closer, I realized it was a man walking, and I drove past him, and I just felt compassion for him. I thought, I just need to give this guy some help. There's not another car in sight. So I stopped and waited for him, and he finally approached my car, came from the back of the car around to the driver's side, and he said, "What can I do for you, ma'am?" I thought, what can you do for me? You know, I'm not the one that's freezing. I said to him, well, I thought maybe you could use a ride. Would you like a ride? He said, oh, I'd be so grateful for a ride. Would you mind? And so I said, come on, get in. And so he got in the car. Now, this has been many years ago. Probably wouldn't pick up a hitchhiker today, but it was much safer back then. And he got in the passenger side of the car and immediately took off his boots and his shoes, his boots and his socks, I'm sorry, and his feet were blue. He was really cold. He didn't have a decent jacket on. And he looked a little scrappy, and his hair was a little long blonde and sort of matted, and snow of course made him look even worse. And we just began to talk, and he told me that he was in the service. He said, I'm in the service. That's what he said. And he said, I just finished an assignment in Hawaii, and I came through New Jersey and couldn't get transportation to my next location. And I said, where's your next location? And even that, I thought that was weird. I thought, of course you can get transportation out of New York. I mean, you can get anywhere out of New York. But he said that's what he said. So he told me he was going to Boston. He says, I have an assignment in Boston, and I have to get to Boston. Well, I had determined how much further I could take him before I would need to turn to go to Albany, and he would go a different direction to Boston, and we continued on this very, very slow journey. Well, I came to a rest stop, and I thought I really needed to call the facility where my daughter was at to tell them that I was going to be really late and to beg them for mercy to let me still get to see her, because I only got to see her one day a week. And they knew about the snowstorm, and so they said yes, they would still give me my visit when I got there. Well, I pulled off to the rest stop, was in the phone booth making the phone call, when I all of a sudden sort of came to myself and realized I had left the car running because the man was still really cold. I thought I'd leave the heat on. And I left my purse in the car. And I had this flash in my brain, this was years ago where you still had to use phone booths, you didn't have a cell phone, that he had everything I owned, and if he wanted to just take off, there was no way I could get back to the car fast enough. But I just finished my call, what could I do? And I walked to the car, got in the car. I did glance at my purse to see if maybe it looked okay, and it appeared that it had not been touched. And we continued to talk on the way to our destination. And he told me some really fascinating things. He told me that there were things that were going to come in my life that would be interesting and difficult. And I thought, you don't even know me. How in the world would you even say such a thing like this? And I let him talk. I didn't ask him questions. I just let him talk. And we went a ways longer, quite a ways actually. He was probably in my car a total of probably 45 to 50 minutes until we came to the place in the road where I needed to go one way and him another. And I said to him, this is where I need to let you off. And he said, okay, I understand. And he looked back to me before he got out of the car. And he said, I will see you again in a day when you need me the most. And I thought, you are really weird, and I'm glad you're getting out of my car. And he got out on the passenger side and immediately disappeared. He just immediately disappeared. And I thought, oh my goodness, the snow was so blinding and it was building up on the side of the road. I thought maybe I was just too close to the edge of the road, and maybe when he stepped out of the car, he just slid down an embankment. So I got out of my car, ran around the back and went around, and I was absolutely overwhelmed with what I didn't see. I did not see one footprint anywhere, and I did not see the man. I looked everywhere. I looked all around. The snow was still very heavy, and I looked everywhere, but there were no footprints anywhere. And I stood there, and this powerful presence of warmth just came over me. And I just knew then that I had had an angelic visitation. I didn't know why or what purpose it would serve at that point in my life. Later, I had a real clear understanding why he was going to Boston, but at that point, I didn't know anything. And I got back in the car. I couldn't even move for a while. I just sat there and pondered the things that he had said. And the last thing he said, that he would see me again at a time when I needed him the most. And I asked the Lord about that and began to understand a little bit over time that the Lord had given me this angelic visitation, this scrappy looking, sort of military looking guy. He was not particularly handsome. He wasn't big and huge. He looked like a normal man. But he had a countenance about him that was so attractive. It was so inviting, that's the word. I wanted to look at him more than I did, but because I'm driving and I'm driving in a snowstorm, I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to him face to face. His voice was like soothing water. He was very gentle spoken, very kind and very gentle spoken. And as we parted, and I've discovered that something supernatural was happening for sure, because if you get out of a car when there's 12 inches of snow outside the door, there's going to be some evidence you stepped in that. Exactly. And there was none anywhere, not anywhere on the passenger side of the car. Not a single snowflake had been interrupted or disturbed in any way, shape, or form. He just left. He just disappeared. I guess he went to Boston. And I was so overtaken over time with the Lord sharing with me that we have angelic forces around us all the time. We don't see them, most of us never see them, and I've never seen another one. But I became very aware of how tangible that power is for us, that God prepares that for us, and that we have access to it as it is necessary and needed. So I wanted to share that story with you, and I wanted to encourage you to believe God for supernatural encounters of your own. Not to seek signs and wonders. The Bible tells us very clearly that we shouldn't be seeking signs and wonders, but that we should have an open heart and an open desire for whatever God would send us, so that we can walk in the fullness of everything that He's provided for us. He gives us enablement and empowerment in a lot of ways, including angelic forces. And so I want to pray with you now and pray that the Lord open up your heart.
That's crazy, man. That's amazing, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just never know who's that angel in your life. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of us are ignorant to just hearing stuff or getting feedback from a person. It can be negative. A lot of us don't even want to hear negative feedback. You know what I'm saying? When it comes from a person, but you never know. Like, the person that's speaking to you can be sent from God. You know what I'm saying? So. It's just crazy to the point that the angel just disappeared, you know. And a lot of people don't believe in angels, but you believe in demons. Angels are real, demons are real. You know what I'm saying? And Yeah, man, I really got too much to say, man. I had to look at the whole thing because it's interesting. Y'all comment down below exactly what y'all think about this video. At the end of my video, so I'll say stay inspired, stay motivated, stay grinding. Till next video. I'm out of here. Peace.